Good afternoon, students. We'll continue with today's lecture. We'll continue with further topic, that is virtual file system. So, what is virtual? Virtual is basically which is not real, but it applies, or it's human readable, it is understandable, it works, but it's not real. So, in Linux, the object oriented principles are used to design VFS, that is virtual file systems. Objects are being identified. It has two modules, a set of definitions that states what file system objects are permissible to seems to be, and two soft layer of for these object manipulation. So in virtual file system, positioning, understanding the objects and then working according to it is only the task. So four major object types of VFS, that is virtual file systems, are: an individual file is represented by an inode object, an open file is represented by a file object, an entire file system is represented by a super block object, and an individual directory entry is represented by an entry object. So till this time, whatever file implementation and directory implementation we have done, on that basis they are identified on the basis of their objects, so that their task can be done or completed. So inode object, file object, then superblock object and entry object. A file will be identified, each file will be identified through an inode object in the system. An open file will be identified by a file object in the normal file implementation. An entire file system, a group of files, will be identified in the super block, which has the starting and ending address of the object. Then an individual directory, now here comes the directory, will be defined by an entry object of the attributes of inode. A set of operations are defined for each of the type of objects. A set of operations will be there for each and every object. Each object of one of these types points to a function table. So each an object will point to a function which is been identified in the function table. Record of addresses of actual functions is kept in function table. These functions implement the defined set of operations for that object. So functions will define those objects according to their task. So what does your virtual file system have? Your virtual file system has different files depending upon their objects. Virtual file system software layer need to recognize earlier what that kind of object it is dealing with. It can carry out an operation on one of the file objects by invoking the right function from the object function table. So if an example, here my file requires a read operation, it will go into the function table, replicate that function from that table and then perform the task according to it. That is the actual task of virtual file system. Means it will not show anything to the user processes. It will backend work with the buffer cache and your virtual file interface, so that they can be virtually completed over functions which are there. VFS remains unaware about whether an inode represents a networked file, a disk file, a network socket, or a directory file. The function table contains suitable functions to read the file. So it's not relatable to anything. What is it is unaware of what your inode is showing representing. It is only concerned with the function which is replicated from the function table. A VFS software, that is virtual file system software layer, will invoke that function without worrying about the way of reading the data. So how it has to read the file is not the concern. It will just take the function for the featuring of file. The file object denotes a point of access to the data in an open file. In order to access the inode contents, the process first has to access a file object pointing to that inode. So first you have to consider the inode function, and then only your task will be completed. Then system call for these directory operations do not have to need for user to open the file concerned. It will directly map the file. So this is the task of virtual file system. See here, it will go into the process table. It will describe the it from the virtual v node function pointer. Function pointer will read that function, reply to the VFS, that is virtual file system. This is the whole process which I explained you now. That is from the process table it will map the file. From the file descriptor, if it has read operation, it will tell the v node, that is virtual node, that this pointer function is asking for read function. Go back and just provide the virtual file system. So this is actually not seen to the user. It is just backend working for the actual function to read the file depending on the what object it has. Next is disk space management. So keeping the records of data into a proper arrangement is done by disk space, and disk space is in percentage in given in bits, so that arrangement of data can be done. Next is disk space management for a graph scale, for a graph format, so that how your curve works and how it is utilized depending on what the data rate you are providing. Keeping track of free blocks. When you say keeping track of free block, what is block size? Block size depends on the bits of data what your file has. So when file is deleted, disk space becomes free. So when if particular file is deleted, that particular disk space becomes free. This space should be reused to allocate a new file. So if it is free, if any new file comes for processing, that disk space can be provided to that new file. System keeps track of free space using free space list. So system will keep those free spaces so that it can give that allocation to that file. This disk space disk blocks which are not allocated to any file or directory is free. Free space list records all such free blocks. So free space records will be kept into your tracking, so that whichever file needs that allocation can be provided. To create a new file, free space list is searched for availability. First, free space list, if anything is there in the free space list, that will be checked, and if not, then new allocation can be given. If found, free space gets allocated. If not, then it will be provided with a new free space list. Free space due to the deletion of file, it again gets included in the free space list. To implement free space list, following two methods are used. Two methods used for free space list are bit mapping, that is bit vector, that is with the help of ones and zeros, that is this one, and second one is linked list disk blocks, that is this one, for arrangement of data values. Then that is in the you can say free space list head, just arrangement, that is 516, then 230 is free, then 162 is free, 6112 is free. Again, if linking is there, they will have connections between them. So what is the advantage of bit mapping free block list? That is, it's relative and simple. As one block becomes free, it will rearrange the bit block, one bit per block. It's efficient in searching free block or k successive free blocks on the disk. It's very easy as it's in ones and zeros. Then what is the use of linked list blocks, that is linked listing. In this method, free space management or free disk blocks are linked together. They are interconnected to each other, and the pointer of the first free block is kept in particular location on the disk, cached it in main memory. So this is situated in the main memory, and the first block contains a pointer. So every block will contain a pointer to show the blocks which are free currently, initially pointing the actual map. And as shown in this method, to traverse the list, it is required to read each block which elapse extensive IO time. So if it requires more input output time, if that exceeds, it can be freed up. Since it is not required to traverse free list regularly, time can be saved. If it is not taking a lot of time, then a list can be saved from this. This applies for FAT, that is file allocation table as well. That is the next one. So when we keep the track, it totally works on the main memory and your disk, that is the connection between those, that is almost the full block, then result of freeing the 3 blocks, then an alternative strategy for handling 3 blocks. The shaded entire entries represent pointers to free the disk space. So the shaded one are the free disk spaces and non-shaded one are the filled disk spaces. This can be done for freeing up the list. Next one is disk quotas. So multi-user operating systems offer the mechanism of disk quota. So when there are n number of users working, for the disk block allocation, that time you can go for disk quotas. To prevent the people from using too much disk space for logging purpose. So to free the space which people are actually accommodating a lot of time can be done through disk quotas. System administrator is responsible to for maximum allotment of files and blocks to the user. So here the person who is concerned is the system administrator. It is the responsibility of operating system to ensure that the user do not go beyond this allocated quota. So it totally depends on the user of that operating system, which will allocate it with the actual space, and it should not go above the limit of the space which is being provided. For every user 8, the quota pointer will have soft block limit, hard block limit, then current block warnings, then soft file limit, hard file limit. So each and every disk quota will have this particular details, as in to keep the track of the record for each user, as there are multiple users. There are two types of limits, hard limit and soft limit. Then there are two types of file limits also, that is soft limit and soft file limit and hard file limit. The exceed in soft limit is allowed, but not allowed for hard limit. You cannot exceed, that is you cannot go further the hard limit, you can exceed the soft limit. Exceed in hard limit will lead an error. If you go further the hard limit, you will get an error. Analogous checks are also exist for number of files to prevent user from hogging all the inodes. If a person is or a user is actually only keeping the records holded, then that time there is some analogous check will be done from the system to free up the data. When a user try to log in, the system inspects the quota file to check if the user has crossed the soft limit or not. Every time it logins, it will check whether the user has crossed that particular soft limit or hard limit or not. For violation of both, limiting and warning is displayed for the count to be decremented for accessing the limitations of data which it has been holded or cached. That is the term. Next one is file system backup. Now why do you take backup? Why does a backup is required? Backup is a safety side for risk factor to be taken over into the consideration. So recovery from disaster or recovery from stupidity. So these are the two concerns which are done for recovery reasons. That is, why do you take a backup? You take a backup for a disaster, that is if a system is crash, if any system error occurs, if data deletion is being done. Or recovery from stupidity is, that is by mistakenly if you delete some wrong file, you capture some wrong data, that time also backup gives you an help, that is over a disk, over a drive, over any external device, wherever you want to store your backup, which you can restore it if the data is deleted, can be done through file system backup. So potential problems are these two. Next is file system backup. How does file system backend work? It is physical dump and logical dump. Two dump options are there, which companies or government organizations knows the value for their confidential and important data. So if the data is confidential and important, at the end of the day they always have to keep that data backup regularly and to on tape, or to protect it from loss due to any catastrophe, that is any problem or disaster, that is human disaster also. Information can be lost due to two reasons. One is disaster and one is by the mistake of the user. That is why we need to take a backup, and that is the reason we need a backup. Since in practice disasters does not occur frequently, these problems, crashing, deletion of data, mounting, all those problems are not on the daily basis. It can occur sometimes. User do not care about it. User is not aware about it, so user is not actually concerned about it. Suppose by mistake file is deleted in Windows, it gets stored in recycle bin directory for the backup purpose. So normally Windows has its own function, that is if a file by mistakenly gets deleted, your file is available in the recycle bin. Following issues need to take into consideration while taking the backup of the file.